Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. So this is going to be a new draft league that we're starting up. We just finished our EDA. I don't know if that's uploading soon. I don't know. Who knows, because my laptop's pretty bad right now. Like, the battery life is like half an hour. So getting that changed next week. So I might not be making videos yet because Final Cut Pro eats at my computer like hell. And I don't even know if I can live to the my laptop can live the processing of the video, let alone uploading and editing and stuff like that. Anyways, we're gonna be starting a new draft league. This is gonna be the GDL, the Global Draft League, run by Tobias. Quite a nice guy. We're going to be doing a pre-home, so basically current Paldea decks draft league, with basically, it's a tier draft. So as you can see already, we have Masquerada at tier 1. We're gonna have different tiers, and then after drafting a certain number of each tier, we get like a budget that we can spend on the remaining spending, and total we get 11 mons in all. So any particular rules that I need to mention before we begin? Yes, so there's like a weird rule with the Terra Captains. So, well, every draft league has weird rules with Terra Captains right now, where none of the Pokemon can Terra, except for one of the tier 3s and one of the tier 4s. So there's 5 tiers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 being the best and 5 being the worst. Tier 3s and 4s can both Terra. You can only pick one of each though, and while Tier 4 Terra Captains can Terra into anything you want, and you don't need to announce it or anything, Tier 3 Terra Captains need to declare their the typing that they're going to be for the entire season. And you cannot swap it, except for with a transaction. So, yeah, we'll see what we do with that as we go along with this draft analysis. So, we were 16th out of 16, which honestly isn't that bad. I've been in a few other casual draft leagues, and I really didn't really want to draft top, because drafting top kind of forced me to get the boring stuff, you know, Dragapult, Corviknight, Garchomp, Goldengo, Great Tusk. And while they're cool, I use them well enough in OU that I just can't be bothered to actually try them. They just sound so boringly, you know, you just get the OU sets, basically. And that's gonna carry you through most of the games. Yeah, I mean, Garchomp has flexibility, you know, Dragapult, I just used it and I hate it. But yeah, like, stuff like Great Tusk, I don't know, you're just gonna run perfect coverage, maybe Rapid Spin, maybe Knock Off, and maybe Rocks. And that's basically it. What else is there, right? Oh, you run AB, you run Leftovers, you run Band, oh, great, that's like any other attacker. So I wasn't that interested in that. So we were last pick, so actually that was pretty good for me. I just kind of picked whatever I thought was best left on the board. Some of the people in the draft didn't pick their tier 1 first, so actually I wasn't the last tier 1 pick. So I just kind of grabbed, as you guys can see, I grabbed Masquerada. At first, at the start of the gen, I really thought Masquerada wasn't that great, but the nerf Protean is still really good. So yeah, we'll talk about Masquerada. So it's a Grass Dark type. It's 123 speed, the fastest starter in the game, and 110 attack, which is pretty good. Gets Protean obviously, so it gets stab on everything, which is basically a free choice band on everything that isn't a Grass and Dark move, if you want to think about it that way, while also changing your typing. Grass Dark also gives you pretty cool stuff like immunity to Prankster, immunity to Spore, at least on your first switch in, unless you want to run Overgrow, which is something you can do. It's got an interesting move pool with very, very wide flexibility. So obviously it has a signature move, Flyer Trick, which always crits, which basically makes it a 105 base power move that also ignores screens, that ignores stat drops, it ignores stat boosts from your opponent. Basically it's like an Urshifu, which is pretty good. It also gets Leech Seed. No one's gonna ever use Leech Seed Masquerada, except me. Knockoff is a really great stab as well, especially because it's such a rare commodity in this gen. Might as well get a knockoff user early. And I just really like its speed tier as well. I didn't realize how fast this thing was, and it is insanely fast. 123 speed is incredible. It is, I feel like it's like a good amount of speed, where it's like it outspeeds everything that you wouldn't expect, but also it isn't so stupidly fast that it forces your opponent to run Scarf. Because I felt like when I was running Dragapult, I just thought, okay, they're gonna run Scarf against me, and I can't do anything about it. I have to run my own Scarfer. Whereas this time, I feel like you don't need to run Scarf against Meowscarada, and I feel like that's less scary for me. I don't know if that actually makes sense, but I like the speed tier. It's comfy. Gets Sucker Punch for priority, also gets really good pivoting moves in U-turn, gets Taunt, gets Toxic Spikes and Spikes, which is really great. It can be a Suicide Lead, Hazard, Stacker. Doubt we're gonna do that because, well, we'll see. But also gets Speed Boosting in Trailblaze, gets Shadow Claw, Quick Attack as well. Pretty decent. It also gets a bit of a special move pool, so you could run Special Meowscarada. It has a 81 special attack stat, which is it's like Garchomp. It's like slightly worse than Garchomp. It's okay. Obviously it's really frail, but this is basically our physical speedy attacker. In the bag instantly. Knockoff user, hazards, all in the bag instantly. And we start off our Fire, Water, Grass cores and our Dark Fighting Psychic cores to a very good start. So I thought, yeah, Meowscarada will work well. Second one, obviously I was the last pick, so I get wheel pick. Actually, I get to pick a second one. I decided to go for Glimmora. Glimmora complements Meowscarada pretty well, in that all its weaknesses are accounted for. Well, not accounted for, but they don't share weaknesses is the thing. And also Glimmora is slightly different in that it's a slightly bulkier special attacker. I just wanted a strong physical attacker and a strong special attacker rolled into one. Not roll into one, but like together as like a good special attacker, a good physical attacker. It means you can't just run Blissey and Wall Me forever. You can't just run Avalugg and Wall Me forever, you know? Has a pretty good move pool. Obviously the most famous set is the Suicide Lead, but you don't need to run Suicide Lead. You can run Specs, you can run Scarf, you can run Bulky, you can run, well, Acid Armor, I guess. You're not going to run Acid Armor. It gets Rock Polish. It just gets really good coverage. Obviously gets all our hazards in the game. Also gives our first removal option in Mortal Spin, which is alright. I think it's alright. Gets walled by Steel types, which are pretty common in draft leagues, but that's alright for me. Also gets guaranteed Toxic, and also its other ability is Corrosion, so we could actually run Toxic Corrosion and poison a bunch of Steel types as well, which is pretty nice. Gets Explosion as well, pretty interesting, and Memento. So yeah, it's an interesting mon. Obviously really high, sky-high special attack, 130, and actually has a very respectable bulk in 83, 90, and 81. So yeah, we're gonna move on now. We got our tier 2s. I realized immediately after drafting these two that the typings that these guys have really aren't that valuable. Like, sure, dark types are nice, but no one really needs a rock type in this economy or a grass type. But so I really want to get the vital types in pretty quickly. By the way, this isn't in draft order. This is in I think I put my team builder in tier order, so maybe not everything is right, but the next two I'm pretty sure were in draft order. I got Tinkaton and I got Haxorus. So let's start with Tinkaton. Tinkaton is a Steel Fairy. It was a tier 2. Really good attacker. I'm really underwhelmed by these stats, but I thought the roll compression is too good. Fairy and Steel in the bag instantly. It's weak to ground, it's weak to fire. Well, Glimmora and Meowscarada kind of deal with those two relatively well, at least offensively. Gets really wide move pool. Gigaton Hammer obviously makes up for its damage. It's gets Thunder Wave, gets Stealth Rocks again, gets Knockoff again, gets Swords Dance, gets Thunder Wave. I already said Thunder Wave. And it gets Encore even. It gets Brick Break, which is quite nice to deal with screens. And I think it can set screens itself as well. Yeah, so it can set up screens. Mold Breaker is a really good ability to break past a lot of broken abilities in this game. I can Thunder Wave Goldengo, for example. I can Thunder Wave Garganacl. So that's pretty good as well. Pickpockets and Own Tempo are also pretty good. I can dodge Intimidate and stuff like that. So that's pretty good. Really good special. It can be decently bulky on the special side, especially if you run an Assault Vest, which you can a lot of the time because you can run like Knockoff, Gigaton Hammer, Brick Break, and whatnot. and also has a surprisingly good speed stat of 94, so it can outrun a lot of good stuff in this gen, especially with the limited text. 94 is a really good speed tier. Next up we got Haxorus. Haxorus is our physical breaker. Meowscarada is great and all, but it's not going to break past a lot of the stuff that we need to, and we want it to be the fast attacker. Haxorus is here as kind of the same thing, like it's a win condition that is really great. I can run a choice band on it and basically nothing walls it. Gets Earthquake, gets Poison Jab, gets Dragon moves, obviously gets Close Combat, Crunch, First Impression for priority, Iron Head for fairies, also Poison Jab for fairies, Swords Dance, and Dragon Dance. Now gets Trailblaze. Phenomenal mon. It's the wee ball in Pokemon. Gets Mold Breaker as well. Next up we got Gyarados. A bit of a roll compression here. This was actually one of my last picks, and I actually got it in a transaction. Not a massive fan of Gyarados here, but it is okay. Intimidate and Moxie makes it another physical attacker, so all these physical attackers are going to stack up against my opponent's physical walls, and they're not going to be able to hold us all back at once, so that's going to be pretty good. Otherwise I can run it more of a defensive set with Intimidate, but I doubt that's going to really work, but who knows. Mainly you're going to have Dragon Dance, you're going to have not Liquidation, you get Waterfall, is it? It's Waterfall. We still get Waterfall. We don't get Liquidation. Waterfall, Stone Edge, Outrage, Iron Head, stuff like that. It's not a win condition in most cases. I wouldn't want to draft this as my win condition, but this is an alright secondary physical breaker to like just be there and be scary. I kind of needed to help with my ground resists when I was drafting this, so I thought might as well get Gyarados. It also deals with ground types offensively, and yeah, doesn't add to like an ice weakness, which we kind of have right now. Tinkaton is okay, but yeah, a bit of an ice weakness, especially after we drafted our first tier 3 Donphan. Donphan is knockoff again. We're taking all the knockoff users. Is another removal option. It's much more reliable than Mortal Spin in my opinion because of Rapid Spin, and obviously punishes those ghosts with knockoff. Earthquake is a really great stab. It's just a really great option. Yeah, Earthquake's a really great option. Knockoff is a great option as well. We get Head Smash, we get Gunk Shot, really versatile Pokemon, gets incredible coverage, and one great thing I love to use is Heavy Duty Boots. Sturdy, which we've used on our Golem before, which basically guarantees us a bailout on something like a Dragon Dance Sweeper, just Earthquake into an Ice Shard, and it's gone. So it's a great bailout option as well. It's just a great Pokemon. It's very physically bulky as well. We're kind of lacking physical bulk right now, so it's a bit of an option there. Next up we got Gallade, and this one's our Terra Captain. We're Terra Psychic on Gallade as our tier 3. This is another physical attacker. We have quite a few physical attackers, not gonna lie, but I think they all work really well together. Gallade's a bit slower, obviously faster than Donphan, but this is basically a really good Life Orb attacker. We got a Terra Captain to kind of deal with fighting types. We're a bit weak to fighting right now, as well as the Psychic typing, because Meowscarada is not really going to want to switch into Psychic types very often, especially with the threats of like bug moves and stuff like that. Yeah. Gallade's got a massive buff this gen with Sharpness, which boosts his slicing moves by 50%. Basically a free choice band if you're running Psycho Cut, Night Slash, Aqua Cut, or stuff like that. It also runs Bulk Up. It can run Wish, I believe. Does it get Wish still? It does not. It doesn't get Wish, but it does get Will-O-Wisp, it gets Thunder Wave, it gets Trick, it gets so many good moves. It's the only teleport user in this gen apart from Gardevoir, which is interesting. It gets Sword Stance, gets Sneak as priority. It's a great physical attacker. Basically, I'm always going to have a good physical attacker this matchup, and it's just a matter of what hits my opponent super effectively, really. Obviously, another incredible coverage option. We used to have Mega Gallade in one of our older seasons, so we're going to use the regular one this time. And in fact, it's technically stronger than the other one, but slower. It's also a decent special wall as well. You can just take a few special hits. And we got the Dunsparce for tier 4. I thought this was an absolute steal. Full stop. Great bulk, great special attack, great attack for a setup Pokemon. You get Coil, you get Calm Mind, and that's about it. That's all you need. You also get Stab Boom Burst, you get Body Slam with Serene Grace, but you also get Rattled, and you also get Runaway, which, you know, we can use Runaway one time, you know. It gets Glare, which is a really great move because it can paralyze ground types. Has incredible Gen 1, not Gen 1, normal type coverage, and it's another Stealth Rocks user, so why not? It also gets Yawn, which is quite useful for keeping momentum up, and of course it gets Roost, so reliable recovery, so it's a pretty decent mon. Not decent, it's great mon. You can run stored power sets with it as well. You can run like leftovers and stuff. It's a good normal type basically. We didn't need the best normal type, but the Dunsparce is probably the normal type this gen. Next up we got Frostmoth. Frostmoth is our Terra captain for the tier 4. It can be any Terra type we want. I kind of wanted another ground resist because I was quite bad at that, especially if our last two mons were missing an electric type and a fire type. If you can guess what those are, then you win nothing. But we needed another ground resist apart from Gyarados and Meowscarada, so I thought, why not? It's not the best defensive Pokemon, but I can switch it to an Earthquake, I guess. Ice Scales makes this really bulky on the special side. We can also run Shield Dust. We're not going to run Shield Dust. This guy is a great Ice type. It can deal with ground types quite well, even though we already have Meowscarada, but that's okay. Quiver Dance obviously sets us up to be really good. You really need 2 Quiver Dances to outspeed anything as a Frostmoth, since your speed stat's 65. But it's okay, we can find opportunities, especially with Terra types. Especially with Terra, we can probably like stop someone in their tracks, and then Terra, and then they have to switch out, and we get 2 Quiver Dances, and we win the game. So something like that. The Ice and Bug obviously gets walled by a lot of stuff like Fire, Steel, mainly those two. Can't think of any others right now, but Fire and Steel are really difficult to deal with as a Frostmoth, but with Terra Water, with Terra Ground, you can deal with those guys. Easy peasy. It's another defog option. It's not going to be our defog option, guys. We have Donphan. We're always going to bring Donphan. So yeah, it's a cool mon. It's alright. It also gets U-turn, I think, so we're not going to run Pivot Frostmoth. Maybe? We're not going to run it. Lastly, our tier 5s. We got Raichu. Raichu I thought was an absolute steal for tier 5. It's a great electric type. It's fast, 110 speed. It has enough special attack and attack. You can actually run mixed, or as in like you can run either option. You probably don't want to run mixed Raichu. Give it a Life Orb, give it a Nasty Plot, and you can just go to town on everything that isn't a grass type. It gets electric, water coverage, gets Draining Kiss. Why would you want the Draining Kiss? I don't know. Focus Blast is good. I guess it also gets walled by dragon types, but it gets Play Rough. So if you want to not get walled by a dragon type, just run Physical. It's an alright mon. It's a pretty good mon. Encore is a great option as well for such a fast Pokemon. And obviously it's a Volt Switch user, so it pairs well with Meowscarada. It gets Wish. You're not going to use Wish Raichu. It's a HP stat 60, but yeah, this is an electric type. It's also an electric immunity, which is pretty cool. So yeah. And lastly, we got Flareon. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next week.